today I'm going to be talking to you about sales revenue, gross profit, and net profit. So first I'm going to read you this question, and then we're going to work out all of these factors. Bill has started a business. He decides to sell calculators, ordering a bulk order of 350 calculators to get himself started. For every calculator purchased, he has to pay £1. Bill decides to sell the calculators for £2.50. On top of the cost that he already has to pay for the calculators, Bill also must pay a rent of £50 for his calculator shop. Not only this, however, Bill also has to pay for the packaging of the calculators, costing him 50p on top of his calculator costs. Work out the total sales revenue, gross profit, and net profit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work out the sales revenue first. See if my paintbrush works, there we go. We're going to work out the sales revenue first. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick out the two factors within this question that are going to help us work this out. Okay, so the things that are going to help us out is the number of products he's sold. So he's sold 350 calculators. We need to know that to work that out. And we also need to work out how much he's selling his product for, in this case calculators. And by looking at the question, it says Bill decides to sell the calculator for £2.50. So we're going to highlight this because £2.50 is important for working out sales revenue. That's his price for the calculator. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the formula for sales revenue so you can remember this. Okay, so for sales revenue, it is the number sold times the selling price. So this is the, and that will equal your sales revenue, sorry. Okay, so if we go by this calculation, then we take the number, which we know is 350, that's how many he's sold, so 350 calculators, and then we're going to times that by his selling price, and we know that's £2.50. So if you put that into your calculators, you should be able to work out the answer. So I'm just going to pause it for a minute and then you will be able to work it out. Okay, so if you've got the answer, then you will figure out that it's 875. So that's how much money he's made. For each, so he's sold 350 calculators and each of those calculators cost £2.50 and he's made 875. So that's his sales revenue. That's the revenue he's made from his calculators. Okay, so that I will leave that up here and you'll be able to refer back to that later. But first we want to figure out what's next, so gross profit. We want to figure out the gross profit. So if we look back through the question, we need to pick out the variables. So the variable costs, which costs change, which are not fixed, or which we'll do later for the net profit. So if we read through the question, we can maybe pick out this. For every calculator purchased, he has to pay £1. So this is one of our variable costs. And I'll explain why. Okay, so this is a cost that could vary. This is a cost that could change. The calculators he purchases may be 1 week £1, like in this situation, and the next week it may be £2.50. It depends on his situation, who he's getting it from, the economic climate at the time. It's all variable, it's all changeable, which is why it's called a variable cost, because it varies. So that's one of them. And then if we go through the question, we'll pick out another figure, but we're going to leave that one because it says Bill also must pay a rent of £50, and that's a fixed cost, but we'll talk about that later. But going through the question again, we can figure out that this here, this 50p, is another variable cost. And it says the packaging of the calculator for each calculator costs him 50p. So for each calculator he buys, the packaging of it will cost him an extra 50p. So that is a variable cost. The packaging may go up or down. It may change depending on different situations. So that's a variable cost as well. So what do we need to do? We need to, first I'll tell you the formula for this. So this is for gross profit. And for gross profit, it is the revenue which is what we worked out later, before, take away the variable costs. And that is your gross profit. That equals your gross profit. Okay. So what we need to do for this one is, get there, here we go. We already have our revenue because we worked that up out here. It's 875. That is our revenue. So if we just put that into the calculation, 875, and then we need to take away the variable costs. Okay, so what we need to do is we've got the £1 over here. So we put this in brackets. 350. So we've taken the £1, and this is his variable cost. This is the cost. The £1 it costs him for every calculator. It costs him £1. So you have to do £1 times 350, which is the number of calculators he sold, and then as well as that, once you've done that, you have to work out 875 minus 350, which is 525. Okay, so once you've done that, then you just have to take 525. Because we have another variable cost, we have to do another bit of the formula. So we take 50p, which is his packaging cost, which is another variable cost, and we take that times by 350, which is the number of calculators sold. And if you work that one out, that will equal £350. Okay. So, we've worked out that his gross profit is £350. So what we're going to do now, we're going to figure out the last one, which is net profit. So we've gone through the question before and we've figured out that his rent is a fixed profit. So if we highlight that, his rent is a fixed profit, and the reason for that is that if you do have a building that you're renting, it will most likely stay, it most definitely will stay at the same rent throughout the year, if not on a yearly basis. So that's a fixed cost, because that cost won't change, unlike the others which are dependent on other factors. So to figure net profit out, what you have to do is you have to take the gross profit, which we figured out before, and you have to take away the fixed costs. So basically, that net profit. So basically, your net profit is the revenue you make, take away your fixed cost and your variables. You could look at it like that, or you could look at it as gross profit, take away fixed costs, depending which is easier for you. Okay, so this is the last bit of our question. So all we need to do now is take the 350, and we need to take away that £50 for his rent, and that will equal £300. And that is the answer for net profit. So this is pretty simple. It's not too hard. So at the end of the day, out of this question, Bill has received £300 from selling his calculators, taking away the costs for the rent, the costs for the calculators themselves, and the costs for the packaging that he has to package his calculators in. So this is what he'll get at the end of the day after all the other factors within his job. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this, and this was how to work out sales revenue, gross profit, and net profit.